Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. I had to write this. I was gonna do it with me in front of the camera, but my neck kept hurting, and I didn't want to because I have to alleviate the cramp of the neck, so I don't want to keep looking like all weird and shit trying to alleviate the cramp. Okay, this is The Outsider, a novel by Stephen King. There's the awesome man himself. Wow. Pause the video and read that, would you? Oh, 11/22/63. I own that one. Mr. Mercedes, I'm gonna have to get that book. Oh, and here's the front flap. So I'm gonna read that and then start on chapter 1. An unspeakable crime, an abundance of evidence, a confounding investigation. In The Outsider, Stephen King delivers one of his most unsettling and compulsively readable stories. An 11-year-old boy's violated corpse is found in a town park. Eyewitnesses and fingerprints point unmistakably to one of Flint City's most popular citizens. He is Terry Maitland, Little League coach. English teacher, husband, and father of 2 girls. Detective Ralph Anderson, whose son Maitland once coached, orders a quick and very public arrest. The case seems ironclad, especially when Anderson and the district attorney are able to add DNA evidence to go with the fingerprints and witnesses. But Maitland has an alibi, and it turns out his story has incontrovertible evidence of its own. How can 2 opposing stories be true? What happens to a family when an accusation of this magnitude is delivered? When an accusation is made. Okay. When must reason or rationality be abandoned in order to explain the inexplicable? As the investigation expands and horrifying answers begin to emerge, King's propulsive story kicks into high gear, generating strong tension and almost unbearable suspense. Terry Maitland seems like a nice guy, but is he wearing another face? When the answer comes, it will shock as only Stephen King can. Whew. They don't call him King for nothing, you know. So, here we go. Excuse me. Thought only gives the world an appearance of order to anyone weak enough to be convinced by its show. That's crazy. Colin Wilson, The Country of the Blind. Okay. The Outsider. The other one was the, that was right here. And now, July 14th, the arrest. One. It was an unmarked car, just some nondescript American sedan, a few years old, but the black wall tires, and the 3 men inside gave it away for what it was. The two in front were wearing blue uniforms. The one in back was wearing a suit. He was as big as a house. A pair of black boys standing on the sidewalk, one with a foot on a scuffed orange skateboard, the other with a lime-colored board under his arm. watched it turn into the parking lot of the Estelle Barga Recreational Park, then looked at each other. One said, "That's 5-0." The other said, "No shit." They headed off with no further conversation, pumping their boards. The rule was simple. When 5-0 shows up, it's time to go. Black Lives Matter, their parents had instructed them, but not always to 5-0. At the baseball field, the crowd began to cheer and clap rhythmically as the Flint City Golden Dragons came to bat in the bottom of the ninth. One run down. The boys didn't look back. 2. Statement of Mr. Jonathan Ritz, July 10th, 9:30 p.m. Interviewed by Detective Ralph Anderson. Detective Anderson, I know you're upset, Mr. Ritz. It's understandable, but I need to know exactly what you saw earlier this evening. Ritz, I'll never get it out of my mind. Never. I think I could use a pill. Maybe a Valium. I've never taken any of that stuff, but I sure could use something now. My heart still feels like it's in my throat. Your forensic people should know that if they find puke at the scene, and I guess they will, it's mine. I'm not ashamed either. Anyone would have lost their supper if they saw something like that. Detective Anderson, I'm sure a doctor will prescribe something to calm you down when we're done. I think I can arrange for that, but right now I need you clear-headed. You understand that, don't you? Ritz, yes, of course. Just tell me everything you saw, and we'll be finished for this evening. Can you do that for me, sir? All right. I went out to walk Dave right around 6 o'clock this evening. Dave is our beagle. He has his evening meal at 5. My wife and I eat at 5:30. By 6, Dave is ready to take care of his business, number 1 and number 2. I walk him while Sandy, my wife, does up the dishes. It's a fair division of labor. A fair division of labor is very important in a marriage, especially after the children have grown up. That's the way we look at it. I'm rambling, aren't I? That's okay, Mr. Ritz. Tell it your way. Oh, please call me John. I can't stand Mr. Ritz. It makes me feel like a cracker. That's what the kids called me when I was in school. Ritz Cracker. Uh-huh. So you were walking your dog? That's right. And when he got a strong scent, the scent of death, I suppose I had to hold him back on his leash with both hands. Even though Dave's just a little dog, he wanted to get at what he was smelling. Wait, let's go back. You left your house at 249 Mulberry Avenue at 6 o'clock. It might have been a little before. Dave and I walked down the hill to Gerald's, that grocery on the corner where they sell all the gourmet stuff. Then up Barnum Street. And then into Figgis Park. That's the one the kids call Frig Us Park. And they think adults don't know what they say, that we don't listen, but we do. At least some of us do. Was this your usual evening walk? Oh, sometimes we change it up a little so we don't get bored. But the park is where we almost always end up before heading home, because there's always a lot There's always lots for Dave to smell. There's a parking lot, but at that time, of the evening, it's almost always empty unless there are some high school kids playing tennis. Excuse me. There weren't any that night because the courts are clay and it rained earlier. The only thing parked there was a white van. That's crazy though. A white van? Like, what the hell is a white van doing there? It looks a bit suspicious. Usually a black van would be suspicious, but a white van? Especially the way they're about to describe it. A commercial van? A commercial van, would you say? That's right, no windows, just double doors in the back. That's what I'm talking about right there. No windows, just double doors in the back. Wow. The kind of van small companies use to haul stuff in. It might have been an Econoline, but I couldn't swear to that. Was there a company name written on it? Like Sam's Air Conditioning or Bob's Custom Windows? Something like that? No, nothing at all. It was dirty, though, I can tell you that. It hadn't been washed in some time. And there was mud on the tires, probably from the rain. Dave sniffed at the tires. Then we went along one of the gravel paths. Through the trees. After about a quarter of a mile, Dave started to bark and ran into the bushes. On the right, that's when he got that scent. He almost dragged the leash out of my hand. I tried to pull him back and he wouldn't come. Just flopped over and dug at the ground with his paws and kept on barking. So I snapped him up close. I have one of those retractable leashes. Yeah. And it's very good for that kind of thing. And went after him. Hold on, y'all. He doesn't bother about squirrels and chipmunks he doesn't bother about squirrels and chipmunks so much now that he's not a puppy anymore. But I thought he might have scented up a raccoon. I was going to make him come back whether he wanted to or not. Dogs need to know who's boss. Only that was when I saw the first few drops of blood. They were on a birch leaf, about chest high to me, which would make it, I guess, 5 feet or so off the ground. There was another drop on another leaf a little further on, then a whole splash of it on some bushes further on still. Still red and wet. Dave sniffed at that one, but wanted to keep going and listen before I forget. Right about then, I heard an engine start up behind me. I might not have noticed, except it was pretty loud, like the muffler was shot. Kind of rumbling. Do you know what I mean? I do. I can't swear it was that white van. And I didn't go back that way, so I don't know if it was gone, but I bet it was. And you know what that means? Tell me what you think it means, John. That he might have been watching me, the killer, standing in the trees and watching me. It gives me the creeps. just thinking about it. Now I mean, then I was pretty much fixated on the blood and keeping Dave from yanking my arm right out of its socket. I was getting scared and don't mind admitting it. I'm not a big man, and although I try to stay in shape, I'm in my 60s now. Even in my 20s, I wasn't much of a brawler, but I had to see in case someone was hurt. It's very commendable. What time would you say it was when you first saw the blood trail? I didn't check my watch, but I'm guessing 20 past 6. Maybe 25 past. I let Dave lead the way, keeping him snubbed up so I could push through the branches. So I can push through the branches. I let Dave lead the way, keeping him snubbed up so I could push through the branches. He could just go under with his little short legs. You know what they say about beagles, they're high-toned but low-slung. He was barking like crazy. We came into a clearing, a sort of a nook where lovers might sit and smooch a little. There was a granite bench in the middle of it, and it was covered in blood. So much of it, more underneath. The body was lying on the grass beside it. Wow, the body was lying on the grass beside it. That poor boy, his head was turned toward me. That's sad, though. Toward me, and his eyes were open. And his throat was just gone. Wow. Nothing but a red hole. His blue jeans and underpants were pulled down to his ankles. I saw something, a dead branch, I guess, sticking out of his, well, you know. Wow, man. I do, but I need you to say it for the record, Mr. Ritz. He was on his stomach, and the branch was sticking out of his bottom. Sad. That was bloody, too. The branch, it was bloody, too. The branch, part of the bark was stripped, and there was a handprint. I saw that clear as day. Dave wasn't barking anymore. He was howling. Poor thing. And I just don't know who would do something like that. He must have been a maniac. Will you catch him, Detective Anderson? Oh yes, we'll catch him. I think we'll go to about 5 if this thing lets us. I don't know, maybe not. Three. The Estelle Barga parking lot was almost as big as the one at the Kroger's where Ralph Anderson and his wife shopped on Saturday afternoons. And on this July evening it was totally filled. Many of the bumpers bore Golden Dragons stickers, and a few rear windows had been soaked with exuberant slogans. We will rock you. Dragons will burn bears. Cap City, here we come. This year it's our turn. From the field, where the lights had been turned on, although it would be daylight for quite a while yet, there arose cheering and rhythmic clapping. Troy Ramage, a 20-year veteran, was behind the wheel of the unmarked. As he cruised up one packed row and down another, he said, "Whenever I come here, I always wonder who the hell Estelle Barga was, anyway." Ralph made no reply. His muscles were tight, his skin was hot, and his pulse felt like it was redlining. He had arrested plenty of bad doers over the years, but this was different. This was particularly awful and personal. That's right, they're good friends, him and the Maitland guy. That was the worst. It was personal. He had no business being part of the arrest and knew it. But following the last round of budget cuts, there were only 3 full-time detectives on the Flint City Police Force's roster. Jack Hoskins was on vacation. Oh shit. Fishing somewhere in the backyard, the back of Beyond. Fishing somewhere in the back of Beyond. And good riddance. Betsy Riggins, who should have been on maternity leave, would be assisting the state police with another aspect of this evening's work. He hoped to God they weren't going too fast. He had expressed that worry to Bill Samuels, the Flint County District Attorney, just that afternoon in their pre-arrest conference. Samuels was a little young for the post. Just 35, but he belonged to the right political party, and he was sure of himself. Not cocksure, there was that, but undoubtedly gung-ho. There are still some rough edges I'd like to smooth out, Ralph said. We don't have all the background, plus he's going to say he was an alibi. Plus he's going to say he has an alibi, unless he just gives it up. We can be sure of that. If he does, Samuels had replied, we'll knock it down. You know we will. Ralph had no doubt of it. He knew they had the right man, but he still would have preferred a little more investigation before pulling the trigger. Find the holes in the son of a bitch's alibi, punch them wide enough to drive a truck through, then bring him in. In most cases, that would have been the correct procedure. Not in this one. 3 things, Samuels had said. Are you ready for them? Ralph nodded. He had to work with this man, after all. One, people in this town, particularly the parents of small children. No, I said 3 things, Samuel had said. Are you ready for them? Ralph nodded. He had to work with this man, after all. 1, people in this town, particularly the parents of small children, are terrified and angry. They want a quick arrest so they can feel safe again. 2, the evidence is beyond doubt. I've never seen a case so ironclad. Are you with me on that? Yes. Okay, here's number 3. The big one. Samuels had leaned forward. We can't say he's done it before. Although if he has, we'll probably find out once we really start digging. But he sure as hell has done it now. Broken loose, busted his cherry, and once that happens, he could do it again, Ralph finished. Right, not the likeliest scenario so soon after Peterson, but possible. He's with kids all the time, for Christ's sake. Young boys, if he killed one of them, never mind losing our jobs, we'd never forgive ourselves. I'm gonna read till number 4. And I'm gonna stop the video. Ralph was already having problems forgiving himself for not seeing it sooner. That was irrational. You couldn't look into a man's eyes at a backyard barbecue following the conclusion of the Little League season and know he was contemplating an unspeakable act, stroking it and feeling it and watching it grow. But the rationality didn't change the way he felt. Now, leaning forward to point between the two cops in the front seat, Ralph said, "Over there." Oh, wow. Try the handicap spaces. I thought when they described the two guys in the front and the one guy in the back, I thought it was like a criminal guy, but it turns out Ralph is in the back seat. Now, leaning forward to point between the two cops in the front seat, Ralph said, "Over there, try the handicap spaces." From the shotgun seat, Officer Tom Yates said, $200 fine for that, boss. "I think we'll get it passed this time," Ralph said. I was joking. Ralph, in no mood for cop repartee, made no reply. Ralph, in no mood for cop repartee, made no reply. "Crip spaces ahoy," Ramage said. "And I see two empties." He pulled into one of them, and the three men got out. Ralph saw Yates unsnap the strap over the butt of his Glock and shook his head. "Are you out of your mind? There's got to be 1,500 people at that game. What if he runs? Then you'll catch him." Ralph leaned against the hood of the unmarked and watched as the two Flint City officers started toward the field. The lights in the crammed bleachers where the clapping and the cheering were still rising in volume and intensity. Arresting Peterson's killer fast had been a call he and Samuels had made together, however reluctantly. Arresting him at the game had been strictly Ralph's decision. Ramage looked back. "Coming?" "I am not. You do the deed and read him his rights nice and goddamn loud. Then bring him here. Tom, when we roll, you're going to ride in back with him. I'll be up front with Troy. Bill Samuels is waiting for my call, and he'll be at the station to meet us. This one's A-team all the way. As for the caller, it's all yours." "But it's your case," Yates said. Why wouldn't you want to be the one to bust the motherfucker? Why wouldn't you want to be the one to bust the motherfucker?" Still with his arms crossed, Ralph said, "Because the man who raped Frankie Peterson with a tree branch and tore open his throat coached my son for 4 years, 2 in Pee Wee and 2 in Little League. He had his hands on my son, showing him how to hold a bat, and I don't trust myself." Got it. Troy Ramage said. He and Yates started toward the field. "And listen, you two," they turned back. "Cuff him right there, and cuff him in front." "That's not protocol, boss," Ramage said. "I know, and I don't care. I want everyone to see him led away in handcuffs. Got it?" When they were on their way, Ralph took his cell phone off his belt. He had Betsy Riggins on speed dial. "Are you in position?" "Yes, indeed. Parked in front of his house. Me and 4 state troopers. Search warrant? In my hot little hand. Good." He was about to end the call when something else occurred to him. "Bets, when's your due date?" "Yesterday," she said. "So hurry this shit up." And ended the call herself. Okay, we're going to stop right there because that's number 4 is next. So we might just do 4 at a time. And I want to see how long this video will last. So 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll do 4 at a time though, you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you want me to keep going, let me know in the comments. If you're finding it interesting, I'm like, wow. So we got about, I don't know, we got quite a few pages to go. Yeah, we got quite a bit to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. That's 4 and 7. Let me see right here. 4 right there, and then we got 7 over here. So yeah, like I said, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys want to see. I'm probably gonna do a video and call it "What Books Should I Read?" and just put a list full of books, including this Big Behemoth. This is a beautiful book. Mwah. Right there. I had to kiss my hand and touch the book. That book is just beautiful. I got the smaller version of it, but I don't know. I want you to know what you guys think. I'm trying to see how far this video will record. Wow. 3,900. But it's like of 10,930. Whoa, 109,379. So once I upload this video, which will probably be tomorrow, I'll probably do once a day. And you guys tell me in the comments what you want. You know, I'm gonna give a list of all the books I have. I have some Jonathan Kellerman and I forgot the other name. Oh, what's his name? David Baldacci or whatever. Oh, I fucking love him. I have not read his books, but he's got, that's a cool name, and he's got some, I've read the little, you know, the insides, the excerpts or whatever of this, stuff like that on the inside cover. And I got Star Wars. The Star Wars books are kind of annoying because all the names, but the, some of the words are just freaking like big words, college words, and I'm like, damn, dude. If you guys want me to do this by like number each one, doing little parts,